So, good afternoon students. Today we will start the carbohydrates. So, last class we have discussed about the reactions of monosaccharides. So, last class I have discussed about how to distinguish aldose and ketose. So, how to distinguish aldose and ketose? So, for that you have to use the bromine water test, am I right? So, if you use bromine water, so aldose get oxidized to aldonic acid, whereas ketose does not oxidize to corresponding acid. So, this reaction won't happen, whereas aldose can oxidize in the presence of bromine water, that leads to aldonic acids. Similarly, the one more reagent, that is tollens, whereas tollens reagent, where both aldose and ketose get oxidized to corresponding aldonic acids. So, by using tollens we cannot distinguish aldose and the ketoses, whereas by bromine water you can distinguish aldose. So, this is the important point. For example, suppose if you have a tollens reagents, for example, this is the ketose, this is ketose. So, this is a 2 ketose, because why both aldose and ketose get into oxidized to aldonic acid? Because of the tollens reagent, right? So, it is a basic medium, it promotes epimerization, that is nothing but this is an alpha carbon, so this is alpha hydrogen, this hydrogen undergo epimerization in the presence of basic medium. So, it goes to an aldose via diol intermediate. Just see, this hydrogen will shift here. So, that process is called epimerization. So, this will become double bond OH, CH and OH. So, we have shifted one of the alpha hydrogen to the carbonyl oxygen. So, now it will become, so this intermediate is called diol intermediate. So, the moment you add tollens reagent in the aldose or ketose, the ketose or aldose will epimerize to corresponding aldose, or ketose that will epimerize to aldose. So, now again this hydrogen will shift here. So, you will get aldehyde HOH, and this is all. So, in the presence of basic medium, the ketose get converted into aldose. This is the most important thing. That is why we can't distinguish aldoses and ketoses by using tollens reagent, because the ketoses in the basic medium it converts into aldose. So, if you oxidize, so this one, if you oxidize, so this will give the corresponding aldonic acids. That is why this is not the suitable reagent to distinguish aldose and ketoses, because the ketoses converted into aldoses via diol intermediate. So, this is an important reaction. Next, we are going to discuss about the glucose reacts with phosphorus and HI. For example, OH and H, OH and H and OH. So, this is, so your D-glucose, if you treat with phosphorus, hydroiodic acid, if you heat this mixture, it gives N-hexane, that is this part will become CH3 and CH2 this will become CH2, and this carbon also will become CH2, and this two CH2, and this one CH2 and CH3. This is nothing but your N-hexane. This is nothing but your N-hexane. So if you treat glucose, D-glucose in the presence of phosphorus Hi, it becomes N-hexane. Similarly, if you take this D-glucose, if you treat with sodium amalgam, that is sodium amalgam. So the carbonyl group reduced to alcohol. So you will get again the alditol. So this will reduce to CHO. For simplicity, I am writing this is a CHOH 4 times plus CH2OH. This is nothing but your glucitol or sorbitol. Sorbitol or glucitol. So if you treat with this reagent, you will get N-hexane, whereas if you treat with sodium amalgam in glucose, you will get the reduced product. This is nothing but your D-sorbitol, or the common name is for alditol. The next, the most important reaction is Ozone formation. So ozone formation. So this OSE for sugar, whereas zone for hydrazone. For example, if you take glucose, so D-glucose, if you treat with 3 equivalents of phenylhydrazine, 3 equivalents of phenylhydrazine, 3 equivalents of phenylhydrazines, so it forms imine derivative. So C double bond NH pH, C double bond NH pH. So remaining, so the 2 carbon gets reacted with phenylhydrazine, it formed imine. So remaining OH and H, this is H and OH, this is CH2OH. So this is the ozone of D-glucose. So plus you will get aniline as the byproduct, plus ammonia plus water. This is the entire reaction. This is nothing but, so you have a C double bond N, this is nothing but your imine, am I right? So this is imine. So here they have used 3 equivalents. The one equivalent will act as a oxidizing agent. One equivalent of phenylhydrazine will act as the function of one equivalent oxidizing agent. The rest, the 2 equivalents were used for imine formation. So it's a oxidizing agent. So it oxidizes to aniline, ammonia plus water. So it's an oxidation. The remaining 2 equivalent were used for imine formation. 2 equivalent for imine formation. So this is O. So in this we have lost the chirality, am I right? So the carbon number 2, we have lost the chirality. So it means C2 epimers have identical ozone. That is the point. So C2 epimers have identical ozone, am I right? Because C2 epimer of, for example, C2 epimer of glucose is D-mannose, am I right? So D-mannose as well as D-glucose will give the same ozone derivative. Similarly, the similarly, the fructose reacts with the phenyl hydrogen, that leads to the imine formation. For example, so fructose, this is OH, H, H, OH, H, this is CH2. Upon treatment with phenyl hydrogen 3 equivalent, it gives CH double bond CNH So C double bond N NH PH. So C OH H H OH H. So the point is C2 epimers and fructose, D fructose will have identical osazone. That is the point. So C2 epimers, for example, C2 epimers, that is D glucose and D mannose. Any C2 epimers, so that will give identical osazone. Similarly, we have lost 2 carbons, right? This one. Instead of that, it forms imine. So D fructose result the same osazone. The next important reaction is glycoside formation. That is nothing but the acetal formations. The formation of glycoside, formation of glycoside. For example, so this is the alpha anomer of glucose. For simplicity, I am omitting the hydrogen. So this is the structure of the alpha anomer of D glucose. This is nothing but your cyclic. This is your anomeric carbon. This is in the cyclic chemiacetal. Am I right? So chemiacetal. Chemi means half. So chemi means half. So you have a carbon, that is in that carbon you have one OH and one oxygen. That is nothing but your chemiacetal. So if you treat with any alcohol, particularly the primary alcohol, in the presence of acid, any mineral acids, so you will get simple, this H will be replaced by this CH3. So OH and OH, this is CH2OH. Am I right? So now you look at this, instead of OH you have OR bond. So this is nothing but your acetal. So what is the difference between chemiacetal and acetal? Suppose if you have this is OH and you have a hydrogen, you have a oxygen. So suppose you have a OH, one oxygen, this is nothing but your chemiacetal. Instead of OH, if you have OR, that is nothing but acetal. That already we have discussed in carbonyl compounds. So both oxygen on the same carbon. So one part you have in oxygen atom you have one OR and one OH. This is nothing but your acetal. So this carbon is acetal. So this bond between this anomeric carbon and this oxygen, the alkoxy oxygen, this is nothing but your glycosidic bond. So glycosidic bond. So glycosides are nothing but acetal. Glycosides are nothing but acetal. Glycosides are nothing but acetal. So the bond between the anomeric carbon and the alkoxy oxygen, the bond between anomeric carbon and alkoxy oxygen is nothing but glycosidic bond. So this acetal is nothing but your glycosides. So the remaining alcohol won't react with this alcohol. So only this chemiacetal oxygen that will react with alcohol, that forms to acetal. So this is an important reaction. This glycosidic linkage that we will discuss in disaccharides. So this again, acetals are stable in neutral as well as in basic medium. So whereas in acidic medium is again it converted into corresponding chemiacetal plus alcohol. So in acidic medium the reverse reaction happens, So it is stable under only neutral or basic condition, whereas in the acidic medium the acetal converted into again the chemiacetal plus alcohol. So this is nothing but your glycoside formations. So next reaction we are going to discuss about, suppose you have a RCHO diol or triol. If you treat with periodic acid, this is the structure of periodic acid. So here the carbon-carbon bond will get broken. So this will become RC double bond OH plus this part will become RC double bond OH. So you will get the 2 moles of algae if you use periodic acid. This is nothing but oxidative cleavage. So the mechanism goes like this. Suppose you have a diol or triol. So this is a hydrogen and hydrogen. So this is a glycol. So if reacts with periodic acid, so this is a periodic acid. So water molecule will be eliminated. First step. So it gives RCHO iodine, the OH and double bond O. Now it's a cyclic intermediate. So now this bond, CC bond get breaks, so it forms. So you just see the products. So RCH, the single bond will become double bond, plus this bond will get break. So you will get RC double bond. So this is one of the reactions were used to determine the size of the ring size of the carbohydrates. So suppose if you have a triol, similarly you have to make this complex, then you have to break it. So you will end up with either aldehydes or acids. For example, if you have a triol, so first initially this will get cleave, right? So the CC bond. Second one, similarly you can cleave the CC bond by using the another equivalent of periodic acid for this one equivalent. So like this we can cleave this carbon-carbon bond by using periodic acids. So the next reaction is, suppose we have a carbohydrates, for example, the glucose, if you treat with hydroxylamine, all right, if you treat with hydroxylamine, that is nothing but NH2OH. So this leads to water molecule elimination. It will form oxime, all right. This is typical carbonyl compound reaction, am I right? So this is nothing but your oxime. So this leads to oxime. So OH, HOH and OHH. This is HOH and HOH CH2. Suppose if you take the monosaccharides, if you treat with HCN, this is nothing but your cyanohydrin formation. Am I right? Cyanohydrin formations. So, for example, it takes gent RCO. This is 3 times, then now so what you will get? You will get cyanohydrin HOH CH 3 times plus R. So this is nothing but, if you treat with this HCN, this leads to cyanohydrin. Cyanohydrin, hydrin means OH, cyano means CN. So this leads to cyanohydrin formations. So far we have discussed about the various reactions on the carbohydrates. Now we will move to the disaccharides. So first we will discuss about maltose. It's a disaccharide. So disaccharide, so today we are going to discuss about, first one is maltose and the second one is lactose and third one is sucrose. In this case, maltose and galactose are reducing sugar, whereas sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. So 3 disaccharides, first one is maltose, second one is lactose and third one is sucrose. Though we will discuss about maltose. The structure of maltose is so this is OH, CH2OH, this is OH, CH2OH. See, this is a bond, this is the anomeric carbon, this is anomeric carbon, this is carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is carbon number 1, 2, 3, 4. So since this bond is down, am I right? This bond is nothing but your alpha. So alpha, this is the anomeric carbon, this is the carbon number 1. So alpha 1 4 dash, because this is from another ring, am I right? That's why the prime indicates it is attached to the another subunit of sugar unit. That's why the prime. So 1 4. So the bond between anomeric carbon and the oxygen, that is nothing but glycosidic link. So alpha 1,4 prime glycosidic link. So maltose are nothing but disaccharides. These disaccharides are nothing but alpha D glucose, right? Alpha D glucose. So again now this is reducing sugar because of you have a chemiacetal OH. Chemiacetal OH can undergo its open chain form. It can further oxidize to chemiacetal OH. It will be equilibrium with its open chain form. So then it can further oxidize to corresponding acid. That's why this maltose is a reducing sugar. So this is nothing but disaccharide. It's the two subunits are linked by alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. This is nothing. This is your alpha. Am I right? Alpha anomer we have used. This bond is alpha. Since this bond between this oxygen and carbon, this anomeric carbon. That's why it's called glycosidic bond or glycosidic link. So this is the structure of maltose. So this is, so it has two alpha D glucose units is connected by this alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So this is most important. So what are the subunits? Whether it is alpha or beta and which carbon to which carbon is connected. This is most important point. Next we will see the structure of lactose. Lactose is nothing but, again it's a disaccharide. It has two subunits that is connected through glycosidic linkage. The one subunit is called beta D galactose plus beta D glucose. So it has two subunits that is connected through the alpha glycosidic linkage. We will see the structure. So it has one beta D galactose and one beta D glucose. The structure of this one. So this is a beta. So you have a OH and H. This is OH. See the difference, because galactose and glucose are C2 epimers. So the configuration is differs. So just make a note on this. So galactose and glucose are C4 epimers. Instead of writing down, I am writing in the up, because galactose and glucose are C4 epimers. So you have this. This is OH, this is OH, this is CH2OH. So this is your beta D glucose subunit. This is your beta. This is your beta D galactose and beta D glucose. It's made up of beta D galactose plus beta. Again, this is, you look at this subunit, you have a free chemiacetal. So it will be in equilibrium with its open chain form. This can oxidize to corresponding acids. That's why it is reducing sugar. So reducing. In beta D glucose as well as in lactose as well as in maltose, the muta-rotation happens because of this muta-rotation. So this is the structure of, it's a lactose. You have two units, that is one is beta D galactose and beta D glucose. The linkage, now look at this linkage. This is a beta. Again, this is a carbon number 1. here carbon number 4, am I right? This is 1, 2, 3, 1 prime, 2 prime, 3 prime and 4 prime. So beta 1, 4 prime glycosidic linkage. Glycosidic linkage. So here alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkage, whereas in lactose beta 1, 4 glycosidic linkage. Now the most important is sucrose. Again it's in another disaccharides. It has 2 subunits that is linked by glycosidic linkage. So this is the structure, sucrose. So you have a OH, CH2 OH, this H, CH2 OH, this is OH, this is OH, CH2 OH. So this part you have a alpha D glucose and this is your beta, because this is beta D fructose. So sucrose is nothing but disaccharides. Is made up of alpha D glucose plus beta D fructose. Alpha D glucose plus beta D fructose. In this you have this again a glycosidic bond. Glycosidic bond. So here also you have a glycosidic bond. So there is a no free acetal carbon in this. So that's why this is a non-reducing sugar. There is no free chemiacetal OH in this, so it can't undergo equilibrium with its carbonyl compound. So this is called non-reducing sugars, whereas maltose and lactose are reducing sugar. So this is a carbon number 1, whereas here this is a carbon number 2. So this is 1, 1, 2 dash glycosidic linkage. Glycosidic linkage. This is 1, whereas this carbon is 1, this anomeric carbon is 2. So this is 1, 2 dash, 1 dash, 2 dash, 1, 2 dash glycosidic linkage. So this is the structure of sucrose. Again this sucrose is called invert sugar, am I right? Upon hydrolysis it gives glucose plus fructose. So that's why it's called invert sugar, because its specific rotation will change during the hydrolysis. So that's why it's called invert sugar. Upon hydrolysis it will give 1:1 mixture of glucose plus fructose. So now we will move to polysaccharides. Polysaccharides is nothing but if you have a more than 10 sugar units connected through glycosidic bonds, that is nothing but your polysaccharides. Examples for polysaccharides is starch. For polysaccharides you have more than more than 10 sugar units that is connected or linked together by glycosidic bond. So polysaccharide. The first one is starch. Starch is an example for polysaccharides. So it has mixture of polysaccharides, am I right? This is a mixed polysaccharides because it has two units, mixed polysaccharides. So one part is amylose, the another part is amylopectin. Amylopectin. This is 20%, this is 80% in starch. So this is a amylose and amylopectin. This is in 20%, that will be in 80%. Now we will look at the structure of amylose. So amylose is nothing but unbranched carbohydrate. This is unbranched one. So we will the structure of amylose. So this is the subunits are alpha D glucose. So here I have shown only 3 units, 3 subunits. So this is OH and OH. This is OH. This is CH2OH. Similarly, we have OH. And this is a OH and CH2OH. So this is a OH and here OH, and it goes like this. So again the one units, these units and these units are connected. Again this is alpha 1 4. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is 1 2 3 4. So this is 4 dash glycosidic linkage. So it's a linear unbranched polysaccharides. It has alpha D glucose subunits. It's connected by alpha 1 4 glycosidic link. So it's an unbranched. So here I have shown only 3 subunits. Next I will discuss about the another part in starch, that is amylopectin, where it's the amylopectins are branched carbohydrates. There you will be having branches. So we will discuss about the structure of amylopectin. So amylopectin. So here OH, this is OH, and another OH, this is CH2OH, here OH, this is OH and CH2OH. Here you have this is 1 2 3 4 5 6. This is a carbon number 1 2 3 4. So again in this you have a 2 linkage. that is 1 alpha 1 4 prime glycosidic link. So this is alpha 1 4 glycosidic link. The another one is CH2 so you have a OH so this is a hydrogen and this is another subunit. So in this OH, this is OH, this is OH and CH2OH. This is an OH and OH. This is OH and OH. This is CH2OH. So this is the structure of amylopectin, where we have two linkage. The first one is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. The another one is, again this is an alpha. It is connected to the carbon 1 and carbon 6. Am I right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So it has 1, 6 prime alpha 1, 6 prime glycosidic link. Glycosidic link. So it's connected. So again it's a branched. You have a two linkage. One is 1, 4 prime, that is an alpha glycosidic linkage. Another one is this is 1 and the carbon, this carbon number 6, am I right? This is a carbon number 6. So this is alpha and this is alpha. You have this is a glycosidic link because we have a bond between anomeric carbon and this oxygen. That's why it's called glycosidic linkage. So it's alpha. So alpha 1, 6 glycosidic link. So this is the structure of stars. It has two parts. First part we have discussed about amylose. The second part, the most important, so you can say it's a branched one. So here you have two linkage. One is alpha 1, 4 prime glycosidic link. The another one you have 1, 6 glycosidic link. So the now next example for polysaccharides, that is cellulose. As you know, the cellulose is the structurally important part in plants. So you have suppose you have in cotton you have 50% of cellulose. Similarly, wood also contains cellulose. So now we will see the structure of cellulose. It's another example for polysaccharides. So cellulose. So it's again so you have a 90% cellulose in cotton, am I right? So we will see the structures again. The structure of cellulose is this is the structure of cellulose. It goes like this. So it goes like this. Again, this units OH and this is OH and this is OH and CH2OH. So this is beta, am I right? So this is this subunits beta D glucose. So similarly, this is another unit OH and OH CH2OH. It goes like this. So this is this. Here I have shown only this two subunits of beta D glucose. So this is the structure of cellulose. So beta D glucose, this is another subunit of beta D glucose, like this it will have. So the linkage is again, this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is 1, 4, am I right? But it's a beta 1, 4 prime glycosidic link. So beta, because this CH2OH or this anomeric bond or cis to each other, that's why it's a beta. The carbon number 1 is connected the carbon 4 of another subunit. So again this bond is nothing but your glycosidic bond, because it is bonded, the bond between oxygen and anomeric carbon. This is nothing but your glycosidic link or glycosidic bond. So this is, it's connected beta 1 prime glycosidic links. So this all about the carbohydrate parts. Now we will move to the next one, is that is another biomolecules. So that is nothing but your amino acids. So we will discuss about amino acids. So as we know, the structure of amino acids, the word amino acid contains both amine plus acid. So this is nothing but, so it contains both NH2 as well as the COOH, so carboxylic acids. For example, so this is R, this is H, and H and OH, right? So simply you can write R COH. So this is a in Fischer projection. So this is carbonyl group. So the next to the carbon is called alpha carbon. So this is called alpha amino acids, because this is alpha carbon. Since is the NH2 it is attached to this, so this is called alpha amino acids. So as we discussed in last class, so all the naturally occurring sugars have D configuration. Similarly, in amino acids, all the naturally occurring amino acids have L configuration. So L configurations.